Hi there, this is credit expert John Olsheimer. In this video, I am going to be explaining the ins and outs of public records as it pertains to credit reporting and credit scoring. My professional background is I worked for both FICO and I worked for Equifax, and I am twice Fair Credit Reporting Act certified by the Credit Industries Trade Association, and as of the date of this video, I have been retained over 325 times as a credit expert in credit-related lawsuits. Everything as of the date of the publishing of this video is accurate. So this is an interesting time in the history of public records as it pertains to credit reporting. If I would have shot this video 5 years ago, for example, we would be spending a lot of time talking about tax liens, judgments, and bankruptcies. However, at this point in time, as far as kind of the history of credit reporting goes, tax liens and judgments are no longer going to be reported by the three consumer credit reporting agencies. There were a variety of reasons why the credit bureaus decided that they were no longer going to be acquiring information on newly filed liens and judgments, and also they chose to remove the pre-existing liens and judgments that were on consumer credit reports. And so I'm not going to really spend a whole lot of time talking about them because they're not on your credit reports any longer. They're still public records. They're still available for anybody to see, including your lenders. So they may still have an impact on your ability to get credit, but as it pertains to your traditional credit report and your FICO or Vantage Score credit scores, there is no longer an impact. So the only public record that we need to address today is bankruptcies. There are primarily two types of bankruptcies that appear on consumer credit reports: Chapter 7 bankruptcy and Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is also generally referred to as a straight bankruptcy. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy is sometimes referred to as a wage earner plan or repayment plan. Both bankruptcies are, as you can imagine, considered to be seriously derogatory entries on your credit reports. And bankruptcies have a way of permeating throughout your credit reports because all of the debts that are associated with the bankruptcy also have a notation of the bankruptcy. So you may have the actual court filing in the public records section of your credit report, but then also all of the debts and collections and such that were associated with with the bankruptcy will also have a notation. So you might see, a dozen references to bankruptcy on your credit report, even though you've only filed bankruptcy once. So a Chapter 7 bankruptcy remains on your credit report for up to 10 years from the filing date. That's per the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Chapter 13 bankruptcies, while the FCRA or Fair Credit Reporting Act seems to allow for reporting up to 10 years for Chapter 13s, as of this point in time, the credit reporting agencies, as a matter of choice, only retain them for 7 years. Regardless, at 7 to 10 years, they can be very harmful to your credit scores because they are considered to be derogatory in nature. One of the questions that often comes up is, how do bankruptcies make their way to your credit reports? And this is a source of confusion, and unfortunately it's also a source of just flat out incorrect information being spread on the World Wide Web. Most information on your credit report is proactively reported or quote-unquote furnished to the reporting agencies by a bank, a credit card issuer, a loan servicer, a debt collector, for example. So every month these companies will generally report information about your loans and such to the reporting agencies. With bankruptcies, that's not how it works. The bankruptcy courts do not report anything to the credit reporting agencies. That is a myth. In fact, if you look at some of the websites for the various bankruptcy jurisdictions, you'll find a lot of language on those various sites that make it very clear that they don't report anything to the credit bureaus. unlike normal loans and those types of obligations, the credit reporting agencies actually go out and proactively pick up information about your bankruptcies, and they use a system called PACER, P like Paul, A-C-E-R. PACER is an acronym for Public Access to Courthouse Electronic Records. And anybody can use PACER. You do not have to be an attorney. I can use PACER. I'm accessing public records. They're called public records for a reason. They are public, which means I can look up your bankruptcy, you can look up someone else's bankruptcy, etc. So as long as you're willing to spend, I think it's 8 to 10 cents per page, you can sign up to have an account with PACER. You put a credit card number in the system, and you can pull down people's public records information to your heart's content as much as you want to spend your money doing so. Seems like an incredible waste of time for anybody other than, in most cases, a credit bureau or anyone else who really has a need to have information about your bankruptcies to do so. But nonetheless, it's a public system. Anybody can have access to it as long as you have access to the internet. The question I often get is, how can I get my bankruptcy removed from my credit report? Well, you have the right to challenge information on your credit reports. You've had this right for decades. And if you feel that the bankruptcy is incorrect, meaning that you never filed bankruptcy, or information about the bankruptcy appearing on your credit report is not accurate, then you can challenge that information directly with the 3 credit reporting agencies. Once you do so, they're obligated to perform a reinvestigation into your dispute and either verify that the information on their systems is correct, or if it's incorrect, they have to correct it. That's their obligation under the law. When you file that dispute, the credit reporting agencies will either go directly through PACER back into the court, the electronic record system, or they will outsource that process to a third party who will perform the reinvestigation for them. Nonetheless, that process generally takes no longer than 30 days, and once the response is received back by the credit reporting agencies, then they will make any sort of modifications necessary to your credit reports, and then they will send you an updated copy. So if you have any other questions regarding bankruptcies, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will address them. Thank you for watching and have a great day.